Part 86. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi-Sing Cao. Chapter 853. 851. Driving her own light yellow Beetle, she was stopped at the school gate and could not enter. He Tian took out her employee ID and showed it to the old security guard, smiling, "Uncle, what's your name?" The security guard saw that she was really a teacher at the school, and the only one who could afford to drive a car was Teacher He, so he smiled and said, "The old man's surname is Zhang, Teacher He can go in. Now that we know each other, there is no need to check in the future." "Thank you, Uncle Zhang." He Tian smiled and took out 2 packs of cigarettes from the bag behind her. "I'll trouble Uncle Zhang to open the door for me in the future." Uncle Zhang was originally a gatekeeper, and opening and closing the door was his job. "No, this is my job," Uncle Zhang quickly declined, not daring to take it. "These are all good cigarettes. My class time is not fixed. Sometimes I come late, sometimes I leave early. I will trouble Uncle Zhang when the time comes." He Tian smiled. "Uncle Zhang, take it. No one in my family smokes, so it's useless to take it back." "Then I'll take it." Uncle Zhang took the cigarette and opened the door for He Tian. Usually, other people would give him cigarettes. It was not a big deal, so he didn't refuse. "Thank you, Uncle Zhang." He Tian smiled, then started the car and went in. He Tian knew the way, so she drove directly to an open space near the office building of the Department of Opera, Film and Television Literature, then locked the car door and came in with a large shoulder bag. He Tian was a little excited on her first day at work. She walked to the door of the office cautiously and knocked gently. "Come in." A female teacher's voice came from inside. He Tian pushed the door open and said politely, "Hello everyone, I am the new teacher He Tian. I am currently a Chinese teacher in the Department of Opera, Film and Television Literature, and I teach Chinese-related courses. It's our first meeting, please take care of me." The 2 male and 2 female teachers inside looked at He Tian and were all stunned. They all knew that there was a new colleague in the office, teaching freshmen. There was military training some time ago, and there were no courses taught by this teacher, so he didn't come. As he was talking, Deputy Director Wu came in. Seeing He Tian, he quickly introduced, "This is the new teacher He." "Teacher He, the female teacher sitting opposite you is Teacher Xiao Chen, the male teacher on the right is Teacher De Chen, the other male teacher is Teacher Zhou, and this female teacher is Teacher Lu." He Tian smiled slightly and said, "Hello, 4 teachers." Teacher Lu was in her 40s and was very familiar. She laughed and said, "Oh, our new teacher He is so beautiful and talented. It's really rare." "Teacher Lu, you are too kind." He Tian smiled shyly and looked at her watch. "By the way, where is building number 4? I have to go to class. I will treat everyone to lunch after class at noon." He Tian didn't want to be late for her first class. "I'm so sorry." Teacher Lu smiled. "Building number 4 is easy to find. Turn right and keep going forward. The 4th building you meet is building No. 4. He Tian was very grateful. She bowed slightly to everyone and said to Deputy Director Wu, "Director Wu, I'm going to class." "Go ahead, don't be late." Deputy Director Wu smiled and watched He Tian leave. After He Tian left, everyone looked at Deputy Director Wu, wanting him to listen to Deputy Director Wu's explanation. "Director, who is this He Tian? Why are you so polite?" Teacher Lu and Deputy Director Wu have worked together for the longest time, and they were classmates before, so they talk more casually than others. Deputy Director Wu smiled and said, "Haha, you are all my capable subordinates. I won't hide it from you. That was specifically instructed by the dean. As for the family situation, I don't know for the time being. Anyway, you should take it easy and get along normally. Don't deliberately make things difficult for others." Teacher Chen's eyes lit up and said, "Director, teacher He is really beautiful. Is she married?" I'm not sure about this. You are colleagues. You will know these things naturally in the future, Deputy Director Wu said. Okay, let's work. I have introduced them just now and you have met them. After Deputy Director Wu left, the teachers in the office became more active. Teacher Chen was a young unmarried girl. She said enviously, I like the clothes she wears very much. They are really beautiful. Yes, and the shoes are also beautiful, Lu, the teacher said, but I like the bag on her shoulder more. I have hardly seen it in Yanjing. Teacher Zhou is the oldest and said with a smile, haha, you are all young people, that's great. Teacher Zhou is still strong and young, Teacher Lu praised, you are a capable person in our department. Haha, I don't deserve it, Teacher Zhou waved his hand and didn't dare to take credit. There are talented people in every generation. Whether it is the faculty or the students in our school, it is more and more every year. It is all thanks to everyone. Haha, yes, there are so many students this year, and there are many good seedlings, Teacher Lu said. Take advantage of the fact that culture is also being reformed and liberalized, shoot more movies and TV series to have a greater influence. Several teachers have talked about the development of the school and the prosperity of the literary and artistic circles from He Tiantian. Let's say that He Tiantian followed what Teacher Lu said and walked forward. As expected, she found building number 4, arranged the classroom according to the schedule, and walked in. The students inside were already full, and it was a tiered classroom. It was a large class. There were a total of 3 classes of students, about 100 people. He Tiantian got the class schedule and the student list. When He Tiantian came in, everyone thought she was a student. I sighed in my heart, oh my, this student is so good looking, why don't I have any impression at all? Everyone whispered to each other, asked each other, and wanted to find out about He Tiantian. He Tiantian was a little nervous. She had been a teacher before, but there were only more than 20 students in the class and more than 50 pairs of eyes. But now being stared at by so many people, her head and eyes were all covered in darkness. Take a deep breath and calm yourself down. He Tiantian smiled, walked up to the podium, and said with a smile, hello everyone, I am He Tiantian, and I am your teacher of modern literature class. After He Tiantian finished speaking, he picked up the pen and wrote 3 words on the blackboard, He Tiantian. Ah, everyone was stunned, this is the teacher, no wonder we know him. The freshmen in the directing department were also there, and they were shocked. When were the film and television literature departments filled with old men and old ladies? Are all the teachers in the department of opera, film, television, and literature so good looking? Someone commented softly and at the same time looked at Teacher He at the front desk. At first, everyone was curious about the teacher, which is understandable. He Tiantian came from a student background, so she naturally knew the reason. After everyone had finished speaking and discussing, they could go to class in peace. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 854. 852. He Tiantian took out the books, lesson preparation content, and the list of students from her bag. Then he took out a tissue and wiped the podium, putting his bag aside. Now everyone has been talking for 3 minutes. The curiosity that should have been there has passed. Now let's start the class. He Tiantian smiled, looking around the large classroom, glancing aside, hoping to use his eyes to calm the students. He Tiantian's big and bright eyes made everyone quiet down wherever they passed. Since it is modern literature, let's talk about the works that you have read today. He Tiantian smiled, here are the lists of students from several classes. I will ask questions one by one in order. I happen to know some of the classmates as well. My question is very simple. Which modern literature have you read and why? Let's start with the Department of Opera and Literature. As He Tiantian spoke, he wrote the question he just asked on the blackboard. The boy sitting at the end, Wang Kaidong, stood up when the teacher called his name and said, "Hello, teacher I am Wan Kai-dong. I have read Lu Xun's literature, Ba Jin's Home, Spring and Autumn among other novels. I prefer Ba Jin's novels. His Home, Spring and Autumn expose the ugliness and tragedy of modern Chinese feudal families. You can also feel the strong revolutionary enthusiasm of the characters in the book." He Tiantian nodded and said, "Well said, very good, please sit down." He Tiantian wrote Ba Jin and his torrent trilogy Home, Spring and Autumn on the blackboard at the back. Then he took a pen and put a check mark on the list of students at the back, so that he could recognize the students and call their names. Next, Li Tang, He Tiantian said. Li Tang also said what he liked to see and what he felt. He Tiantian looked at names and people to strengthen his memory. When the seventh person was called, no one answered. "Is this classmate Wu Mian not here?" He Tiantian asked. "Has he asked for leave? Where is the monitor?" At this time, the first student Wan Kai-dong stood up and said, "Classmate Wu Mian said he was not feeling well and wanted to take leave." He Tiantian listened and smiled slightly. "In the book you received on the first day of school, there is a student guide, which contains the steps for asking for leave. I also asked classmate Wan Kai-dong to tell classmate Wu Mian to ask for leave as required. If you are not feeling well and cannot come to class, you must have a medical certificate from the infirmary or hospital and a signature from the department director. Since there are some who are absent from class, I will also tell you that my course assessment is different from other teachers. The test scores account for 80% of the usual results, and the remaining 20% is based on the usual attendance rate. This semester, I have a total of 64 classes. If a student fails to show up for 4 questions, his usual score will be 0. Ah, there was an uproar below. Some people came to class, and some people didn't come to class. Teacher, actually. Wan Kai-dong was a little anxious. Wu Mian, the bastard, was all his fault. Just don't come to class. Student Wan Kai-dong, please sit down. Do you understand what I say? Don't come to class. It's impossible to get a score of 20 points. Even if you ask the dean to intercede, I won't give in, He Tiantian said. As students, unless they are too sick to crawl, I don't know why students would not come to class. Since they don't want to come to class, there is no need to put in so much effort to get into college. If you get admitted, you will cherish it. Also, I would like to add that I do not accept make-up exams for this course. Those who fail the exam can just retake it next year. He Tiantian said forcefully. His eyes scanned the students below. Next, Song Qian, He Tiantian muttered. There are 2 whole classes, with a 10-minute break in between. He Tiantian had already called students from 2 classes to stand up and answer. Seeing that there were still 5 minutes left, He Tiantian began to call the roll call from the remaining 2 classes. There were a total of 9 people who did not come to class, 5 boys and 4 girls. He Tiantian wrote everything down in his little notebook. The get out of class was about to end. He Tiantian pointed at the students on the blackboard and highlighted the books that were required to be read in the lesson plan. She said, "Those with triangles under the book titles are required to be read this semester. Make a note of it and look for these books when you have time. These books will be involved in the exam." Some students didn't care and began to pack their things and prepare to leave. He Tiantian smiled broadly and said, "Also, every time during class, I will tell everyone the key points of the test. After the test is over, I will not draw the test range again. As long as you listen carefully in class, you will be fine after class. Anyone who studies seriously will get good grades. Okay, the bell is ringing. Today's class is over. Goodbye, classmates. Stand up, goodbye," teacher Wan Kai-dong shouted, and other students followed. He Tiantian packed up her things, bowed slightly and said, "Goodbye, classmates." After saying that, He carried his bag and left gracefully. Only Teacher Lu and Teacher De Chen were in the office. Seeing He Tian, Teacher Lu greeted, "How is Teacher He's class?" "The atmosphere in class is okay, but there are people who are absent on the first day of class." "I have written down all the absentees." He Tian smiled bitterly. "I am a little angry not coming to class at such a good time." "Hey, yes, many students don't cherish class. They come when they are happy but don't come when they are not. Criticism and scolding are useless." Teacher Lu echoed, "There is no good way in the school." Teacher De Chen smiled bitterly and said, "I teach sophomores, and I am absent more often. Some people say this performance and that performance, but I don't know whether it is true or not." He Tian thought for a while and thought, "It won't work if this goes on. If we treat those who come to class and those who don't come to class equally, it would be unfair to the students who take class seriously. We are also thinking about it. There are indeed many students who have opinions." Teacher Lu said, "I had a class today, and 7 of them didn't come. There were only more than 50 people in the 2 classes." He Tian suggested, "I used to be a teacher in Nanjing. They made reforms. The final exam scores only accounted for 80% of the usual grades, and the usual attendance rate accounted for 20%. In this way, no students will dare to ask for leave." "But how to determine the attendance rate?" Teacher Liu's eyes lit up. "Teacher He, please tell me carefully, maybe we can find a good method." It was obviously He Tian's idea, but when it came to Teacher Liu's words, it became us. 12:05, one more chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 855. 853. They are all in the same office, but He Tian is a new teacher, so she cannot be serious with Teacher Lu as soon as she arrives. He Tian didn't care, and said with a smile, "Teacher Lu, you have experience, and you can definitely judge the quality. In one semester, I called the roll 4 times at irregular times, and I came all 4 times, which proves that I usually come to class seriously. If I don't come, in class, don't you believe that he can avoid being called on 4 times? This method is good." Teacher Lu thought for a while, nodded repeatedly and said, yes, this method is simple, but absolutely effective. Director Wu is also worried about this matter. Why don't we go talk to the director and let him listen? If possible, we just do this and we won't have to worry about students being absent from school in the future. Director Lu has rich teaching experience, and I am just a new teacher. As for Teacher Liu's opinions, it is Teacher Lu and Director Wu who can attract the director's attention." He Tian declined. It was not an important matter in the first place. She doesn't want to be in the limelight. When Teacher Lu heard this, he smiled broadly and said, "Since Teacher He is busy, I will do the work for Teacher He." "Thank you for your hard work, Teacher Lu." He Tian smiled, then sat down on his desk, took out the things for class, and prepared to organize them and start preparing lessons. Teacher Lu was excited. This is a great achievement. When the director retires, Deputy Director Wu will undoubtedly take over. Then the position of Deputy Director will be vacant. She is the most qualified in the office and has the best chance of getting it. If there is still some merit that can be achieved, then the hope will be even greater. After saying that, Teacher Lu couldn't wait to find Deputy Director Wu. Teacher Lu told Deputy Director Wu directly what He Tian said. Deputy Director Wu's eyes lit up and he said, "This method is good. Teacher Lu is really experienced in teaching. You write a report and I will tell the department chair that if possible, we will implement it starting from this semester." "Okay, I'll write it right away," Director Lu said excitedly. "I'll hand it over to you before I get off work." Then Teacher Lu, Hurry up and write, Deputy Director Wu said happily. Oh my, you can get a credit as soon as the school year starts. It seems that your promotion to director at the end of the year will be more successful. Let's talk about Teacher Lu leaving the office. Teacher De Chen said with a smile, Teacher He, that is a great achievement. Why don't you strive for it? Teacher De Chen was very envious. In fact, he also wanted a share of the pie. After hearing this, He Tian smiled and said, I am already very busy and don't have time to do this. Teacher Lu is very enthusiastic and prestigious. At the same time, it is for the sake of our department and our office. It is more appropriate for her to do it and the effect will be better good. When Teacher Lu heard He Tian's words at the door, she really didn't like He Tian too much. Pushing the door open and coming in, Teacher Lu smiled and said, Xiao He, I will keep your contribution in mind. Thank you, Teacher Lu, for the tip. He Tian smiled. Teacher Lu had to write a report and had no time to talk. He sat at his desk and started thinking. When writing the report, he must be perfect. After a while, Teacher Lu had written it and sent it to Deputy Director Wu's office. Deputy Director Wu was excited and planned to go directly to the old director's home for discussion after school at noon. School is over at noon. Teacher Xiao Chen and Teacher Zhou are back from class. He Tian has 2 classes in the afternoon, so she plans not to go back at noon and go home after class to avoid wasting time running back and forth. Teachers, are there any restaurants around? I'll treat you all to dinner, okay, He Tian said with a smile. She had already said it before, and now it's time to fulfill her promise. Teacher Lu accepted He Tian well, and naturally hoped that He Tian could integrate into this small group as soon as possible. He said with a smile, don't tell me you are serious, there is indeed delicious food here. After leaving the school gate, turn right into an alley. There are many restaurants. Since Mr. He is here to treat you, we won't be polite. Teacher De Chen smiled and said, yes, think about it, before we were new, we also treated guests to dinner. From now on, it will be our rule here that new teachers treat old teachers to dinner. Okay, Teacher Lu said with a smile, what are you treating us to? Boiled vegetables in the canteen. Let's go there. He Tian smiled, in case we get there late and there are no seats. A group of people came out of the office. Teacher Xiao Chen looked at the beautiful bright yellow car and said with envy, I don't know whose car this is. It's so beautiful. If only I could take a ride. He Tian smiled, took out the key and said, you can still be satisfied if you sit for a while. Ah, Teacher Xiao Chen was surprised. Teacher He, is this your car? Yes, He Tian said, anyway, everyone will know about this matter in the future, there is no need to talk about it secretly. At the same time, He Tian also understood that there are some things that cannot be kept low-key just by being low-key. Furthermore, if she has the ability and the opportunity to enjoy these things, there is no need to pretend to be poor and wrong herself. Past experience has proven that if you are only a little better than others, you will be envied and hated by others. But if you are much better than others and so superior that others cannot catch up, you will only be envied by others, but will not be envied and hated. Teacher Lu was also stunned, and after a while he said, I was wondering just now whose car was parked near our office building. It turned out to be you. Yes, it's just that my car is very small. He Tian smiled. Teacher Zhou, you are more muscular, sit in the passenger seat. Teacher De Chen, Teacher Xiao Chen, Teacher Lu sit in the back seat, squeeze together squeeze. Okay, Teacher Zhou chuckled, I also want to experience what it feels like to ride in a car. Everyone got in the car. Teacher Zhou was relatively fat and sat in the passenger seat. Teachers Xiao Chen and De Chen in the back were relatively young. They sat on either side of Teacher Lu, which was quite suitable. Is there a road in front of Teacher Zhou that I can go around? He Tian asked. There were many people sitting inside, and she didn't want to reverse the car, which would be a bit troublesome. If there is a road, you drive and I will show you the way, Teacher Joe said with a smile. Oh my, this cushion is comfortable. Yes, it's very comfortable, Teacher Lu from behind said. Teacher He, you can't buy this car in China, right? There are bicycles, tricycles, and green jeeps and trucks running all over the street. He Tian smiled and said, my grandmother gave me the car. My God, your family is so well off, Teacher Xiao Chen said. Does this car cost tens of thousands? I guess so, He Tian said while driving. Except the school gate. Teacher Joe, where should we go? Turn right, walk forward for a mile, then turn right again. After entering, there are many restaurants in that alley, Teacher Joe said. We usually come here for gatherings. It's close and convenient. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 856. 854. Yes, He Tian smiled, it's very close. We're already here. Let's see where we can eat. Teacher Lu thought for a while and said, let's go eat Hunan cuisine. Yeah, well, we've eaten at the others, so we checked out this Hunan restaurant, Teacher Xiao Chen agreed. The reason why he hadn't gone there before was because it seemed a bit expensive. Okay, then let's go to the Hunan cuisine restaurant, He Tian agreed, looked on both sides of the road, and found the Hunan cuisine restaurant at the end of the street. He Tian parked the car and let him get out first. She found an easy place to park. At the door of the restaurant, others were waiting for He Tian. After coming in, other teachers originally wanted to eat in the hall, but He Tian directly asked for a private room. This way it will be more convenient for everyone to talk. Everyone followed the waiter's greeting and went up to the second floor, the peony hall. The waiter brought the menu and He Tian smiled and said, everyone, let's order. We don't have much time at noon, so let's hurry up. Since it's Xiao He's treat, we won't be polite. Teacher Lu smiled and took the lead in ordering the fried pork and home-style tofu. You guys should also take a look. Everyone else also ordered a dish each, just 5 dishes. He Tian felt that it was a little lacking, so she ordered steamed cured meat, spicy lamb tripe, and fragrant stir-fried eggplant. There were 8 dishes in total, which should be enough to eat. While everyone was waiting for the food, Teacher Xiao Chen poured water for everyone. Teacher Lu is a middle-aged woman. She is most curious about whether others are married and asks, Xiao He, you are so young, you must not be married yet, right? They really couldn't tell what He Tian was wearing. Thank you, Teacher Lu, for the compliment. I'm not young anymore. I'm already 27. I got married in 1976 and had a child in 1977, He Tian replied. Inviting everyone to dinner today is to get to know each other and avoid unnecessary misunderstandings. For example, Teacher Lu can't help but introduce her to someone else. Ah, Teacher Lu was surprised, you are so good looking, I can't tell you are 27 years old. You are already married, and I don't know which family it is that you are so lucky to have such a good wife. Then who is your partner? What are you doing? Do some research on materials, He Tian smiled and said, in our office, it is probably just Xiao Chen. Teacher De Chen is not married, right? Yes, but Teacher De Chen is already engaged and will get married next month, Teacher Lu said with a smile. I was the one who introduced you. As for Xiao Chen, this girl has great vision. She will accept everything I introduce. Not on. Teacher Xiao Chen quickly poured a cup of tea for Teacher Lu and said, thank you for your hard work, Teacher Lu, isn't it my destiny? Okay, I'll just trust you for a moment, Teacher Lu said. I originally thought Teacher He was not married, so I can be a matchmaker. Haha, it's a pity that Teacher Lu is a teacher. He should open a dating agency to ensure a prosperous business, Teacher Joe laughed. In this office, only the older Teacher Joe dared to make jokes about Teacher Lu. Okay, When I retire and have nothing to do, I will open one, Teacher Lu said with a smile, making everyone laugh. At this time, the food was served, and everyone was eating and talking. Oops, it tastes really good, and it's expensive for a reason. Because everyone had classes in the afternoon, even though the male teacher knew how to drink, he didn't. After dinner, everyone went outside to wait for He Tian. He Tian went to pay, 8 dishes for 5 people, 15 yuan and a half. Just as He Tian was checking out, there was a man and a woman checking out beside him. He Tian packed up her change, carried her bag, and turned to leave. The man behind him was shocked when he saw He Tian turn around. Then He Tian's back and long hair reminded him of the back that day. Very similar. Could she be He Tian? He Tian walked a few steps quickly, and her sandals left a series of pleasant pawpaw sounds on the ground. This person is Tang Qian. I came over at noon and invited Ning Huiwei to have dinner with me. Unexpectedly, I met a beauty. After paying the money, Tang Qian Huiwei came out of the Hunan restaurant and saw He Tian greeting everyone to get in the car. Teacher He, wait for me, I'll buy something, Teacher Xiao Chen said quickly. She wanted to buy some snacks to share with everyone. Okay, He Tian smiled, there is still time, we will wait for you. He Tian had just finished eating and didn't want to sit down. Teacher He, why don't you come in and sit down, Teacher Lu greeted, don't you feel too hot standing outside? He Tian smiled and said, no, there is shade from the trees. I just finished eating and I want to stand for a while to prevent the meat from growing on my belly. Ah, Teacher Lu was stunned, Xiao He, is there such a thing? He Tian listened and said, yes, it will be better if you don't sit down for 15 minutes after the meal. Then I will stand up for myself. Teacher Lu has always paid attention to his figure. Even though he is over 40, he still maintains it very well, which shows that he always attaches great importance to it. Teacher Lu, some of them talked to He Tian. Tang Qian, who was not far away, squinted his eyes and looked over. Teacher Ho. Such a coincidence. Is it really He Tian? It's really beautiful. That brat Huo Yingja is so lucky. 4 young masters, let's go, Ning Huiwei said, I have no classes in the afternoon, how about you accompany me to buy clothes? A clothing studio recently opened, and there are a lot of clothes in it, and my classmates all went to buy them. Tang Qian turned his head and looked at Ning Huiwei, who was also a beautiful woman. One is like daughter. One is like an orchid in an empty valley. Each has its own beauty, but the orchid also has a distant fragrance that is refreshing. I have something to do, you can go alone. Tang Qian got a little tired, got into his car, and left. Ning Huiwei was left standing alone, slightly dazed. Following the gaze of the 4th young master just now, she saw He Tian beside a car. That woman is so pretty. Wouldn't 4th young master fall in love with this woman? If so, what should she do? But if 4th young master is interested in such a woman, she can learn to become such a woman. Teacher He, I'm here. Xiao Chen bought a pack of preserves and snacks and ran over. When Teacher Ma saw it, he laughed and scolded, you are not afraid of getting fat. You eat snacks all day long. He Tian got in the car and said with a smile, Teacher Xiao Chen has a round face and is very cute. Someone will eventually discover her beauty. Haha, Teacher Lu smiled, I hope so. You see, Teacher He doesn't eat snacks, so he has a good figure. Ahem, He Tian smiled coquettishly, actually, I also like to eat snacks. You will know in the future. My stomach felt like an invincible hole. I just supported 2 bowls of rice in front of everyone and didn't dare to ask for a 3rd bowl. He Tian didn't drive very fast, and Ning Huiwei followed him not too close but not too far away. When he entered the school gate, Ning Huiwei couldn't keep up. Anyway, this car is so eye-catching, you can find it if you ask. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 857. 855. By the way, those teachers just now should be teachers from the Department of Opera and Literature. If so, it will be easier to find. Ning Huiwei thought as she walked. Hey, it would be nice if she had a car too. As soon as the car passed by, it attracted the eyes of many people. It was so majestic. She had to work hard and let fourth Master Tang buy her a car, so that she could live a life like a master. He Tian parked the car and went upstairs with her colleagues, not knowing that she had become the envy of others. After one meal, several people became very familiar with each other. Everyone was drinking water and laughing, and teacher Xiao Chen distributed the candied fruits he had just bought. The atmosphere in the office was cheerful. He Tian still had 2 classes at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. After drinking water and eating candied fruit, she started preparing for the next class. In this way, try to complete the work in school in the future, and she will not work anymore when she goes home. When it was time to go to work, everyone went to class one after another. He Tian also started taking her things to class. She put her bag in the drawer here. She would bring a lock over tomorrow to lock up some valuable things. It's not about being on guard against the teacher, but everyone has gone to class and there is no one in the office, so you have to be on guard against valuable things. This time, He Tian only brought a folder and a thermos cup with hot water soaked by fatty sea. When I talk for 2 consecutive classes, sometimes my throat can't stand it, so I have to drink something to moisten my throat. The 2 classes in the afternoon are also big classes, the same as in the morning, and the procedures are the same. Rumors began to spread among the students that He Tian was good looking, but a difficult teacher to talk to. He Tian didn't care about this, she taught according to her own ideas. Because the language is so interesting, some students still enjoy listening to He Tian's class even though they mutter in their hearts. In the 2 afternoon classes, 4 people were absent, 3 boys and 1 girl. Without a leave note, the absence of these 4 people was recorded. After class, go back to the office. Teacher Lu smiled and said, Teacher He, don't leave yet. We are going to the conference room for a meeting soon. Please prepare yourself and we will leave immediately. He Tian put down the things in her hands, washed her hands, applied hand cream, and said, Okay, Teacher Lu, let's go together. When they arrived at the conference room, Deputy Director Wu was talking to an old man with a respectful attitude. This old man should be the director of the Department of Opera and Literature. Everyone sat down one by one, waiting for the leader to convey the spirit of the meeting. Director Liao looked at a few people and said with a smile, This is the new teacher He. Yes, he is an idea. Xiao Wu and Xiao Lu have told me, and you have tried it yourself. In the afternoon the attendance rate is a little higher. Yes, He Tian stood up. At this stage, I also think this method is more effective. Students come to study. How can they study if they don't go to class? Yes, the school has been looking for ways. I have reported it to the dean. The dean and some other leaders of the school have made a decision to follow this method, which is to change the proportion. Examination scores account for 100%, 75% of the score, 25% of the time. Being a good person and doing things depends not only on ability, but also on attitude, Director Liao said seriously. Since the students have bad attitudes, we must guide them to correct them. Yes, this decision of the school is very good, Deputy Director Wu said, we firmly support it. As long as you come to class and listen carefully, your grades will definitely be much better than just sharpening your skills before the exam. Next is Teacher Zhou, and Teacher Lu is waiting to speak. When it came to He Tian, she just said that she firmly supported the leadership and the school's decision, and the matter was over. After the meeting ended, it was already 5:30. She had to go back, otherwise Huo Yingzhe would probably come to pick her up. Unexpectedly, He Tian packed up her things and went downstairs, and saw a tall figure under the shade of the teaching building. Who is that person waiting for? Xiao Chen's eyes were shining, and he wanted to pounce on him, take him home and become his husband. The man looked this way as if he sensed someone coming. The man was wearing a white shirt and blue trousers, standing elegantly under the tree and looking at the surrounding scenery. Oh my, the front is better than the profile. Is this a student from our school, teacher? Xiao Chen said excitedly. Teacher Lu, you are the know-it-all in our school. Do you know this person? Teacher Lu was a little excited, thought for a while, and said, she shouldn't be a student of our school, let alone a teacher, otherwise I wouldn't be unimpressed. Ahem, He Tian coughed twice, haha, that's my husband. Oh, what a talented man and beautiful woman, Teacher Zhou said with a smile. Before, Xiao Chen also said what kind of man could marry a woman like Teacher Xiao He. Now that I have seen it, I believe my eyes. I believe it, Xiao Chen said enviously. Teacher He, does your partner have a younger brother? My partner is an only child and has a cousin who is also married, He Tian explained. Xiao Chen, you are very good. You can definitely find someone good and better. Hey, I believe I can find a good one, but I can only dream about someone better than your partner, Teacher Xiao Chen said straightforwardly. Teacher He, please introduce it to us quickly. Okay, He Tian smiled and introduced to everyone. This is my partner, Huo Yingzhe, husband. These are my new colleagues, Teacher Zhou, Teacher Lu, Teacher De Chen, and Teacher Xiao Chen. Huo Yingzhe stretched out his hand, shook hands with several teachers, and said, hello, teacher. Hello, Teacher Zhou smiled. It's time to get off work now. Let Teacher He and his wife go home quickly. We won't be light bulbs anymore. Several people said goodbye one by one. He Tian got into the car and asked Huo Yingzhe to sit in the passenger seat. You got off work very early today, He Tian smiled. Did you come to pick me up specifically? Yes, let's declare our sovereignty. By the way, Huo Yingzhe smiled, let your colleagues know that you are married. He Tian was a little speechless, but Huo Yingzhe's reason was sufficient. After thinking about it, it seems that I have to take the time to visit your place of work and make a declaration. Own sovereignty. Haha, welcome, Huo Yingzhe smiled, but I guess you won't be able to get in. The inspection alone will take 2 hours, so you will be impatient. What should I do? Am I not at a disadvantage? He Tian started, coquettishly. It's not fair, you have to think of a way. Then let me think about it, Huo Yingzhe said seriously. Yes, this weekend, one of my colleagues is getting married. If you go to the wedding with me, others will know that you are my wife. You can eat and you can declare sovereignty, kills 2 birds with 1 stone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 858. 856. Ben knew that his wife was joking, so Huo Yingzhe really stayed with her. Haha, He Tian herself found it funny. Are you serious? Of course it's true. I will resolutely obey my wife's legitimate demands, Huo Yingzhe said. I will try my best to satisfy my wife's unreasonable demands. Listening to what you said, it's like I'm a tigress. I scare you so much that you're not afraid of others saying you're a strict wife. He Tian smiled and glared at Huo Yingzhe. But she also knew that she was driving, so she quickly turned her head and looked ahead. Don't be afraid, Huo Yingzhe said, any man who listens to his wife is a good man. Virtue, He Tian smiled and said, this man is so good today. When passing by the pastry shop, He Tian went in and bought some things. The children at home wanted to eat them, and she also wanted to eat them. There were also pastries that Grandma Wang liked to eat. The couple returned the home. Having a car is a lot more convenient. When I passed the vegetable market, I bought a lot of vegetables and threw them in the trunk. When we got home, the child had been taken home by Zhongning and was playing in the yard. Usually when she returns home, Grandma Wang gives her children something to eat to cushion their stomachs, and then waits for the adults to come back for dinner. While eating, Grandma Wang asked with concern, "It's the first day of class, are you still getting used to it?" "Get used to it? There are textbooks. Just start teaching according to the textbooks. When preparing lessons, just be careful." He Tian smiled and said, "It's not difficult. It's just that the classroom is very big. It's the kind of ladder classroom with low sound. I can't hear it, so I have to keep talking loudly, and my throat is a bit uncomfortable. Fortunately, I prepared Pang De Hai, and my voice is not hoarse today. It would be better if I had a simple amplifier." Huo Yingji thought for a while and said, "Leave this matter to me and I'll take care of it for you. I don't want a microphone, I want the kind that can be clipped to the clothes near the neck, which is more convenient." He Tian reminded that it is inconvenient to use that kind of microphone in class. "I know." Huo Yingji nodded, "just find a loudspeaker and modify it." "Thank you." He Tian smiled, but she didn't take it to heart. After all, her husband dealt with materials, so it might be okay to make some simple machines. The amplifier was a bit complicated, so she didn't hold out hope. "Just get used to it. You don't have to worry at home. Zhongning will take care of the child." Grandma Wang said, "If you hire someone to do the housework, I will look after the child for you. There will be no major problems in other families. Grandma Wang, you just need to look after the children. If you want to cook, your nanny will do it, or I will come back to do it." He Tian smiled and said, "Don't make you tired all the time." "It's nothing if you're not tired." Grandma Wang smiled, "You can still do this." After dinner, He Tian and Huo Yingji did housework together. 2 guards came to help, but Huo Yingji stopped them. "Originally, I didn't spend much time with my daughter-in-law, and if I didn't even spend time with her to do housework, I would have even less time." Zhongning and Xiewu looked at each other. The leader who is powerful in the workplace is like a housewife at home, doting on his wife more than his daughter and son. Well, that couple also whispers while doing housework. "It's so sweet that I can't stand it. Just stay far away." However, in their hearts, they envied the relationship between the leader and his wife. This is called a loving couple. When she went to class the next day, because she started class early, she didn't want to drop off her children. Zhongning could only send Huo Yingji to work first, and then drop off the 2 children when she came back. The busiest person in the family now is Zhongning. But hard work also pays off, and the 2 children are also very close to Zhongning. Zhongning thinks that he is a bachelor. He may recover in a few years. His hometown is in a ravine, so it doesn't matter. He probably won't be assigned a good unit. He and Xiewu agreed to take advantage of this opportunity to do their best for the leader. When the time comes, he will also ask the leader to arrange a job. Then Li Yunzong is an example. Now he is the owner of a home appliance supermarket, earning a salary of thousands of yuan a month. With this idea, Zhongning and Xiewu worked more seriously. However, compared to other comrades in arms, Huo Yingji was considered good. He never wronged them in terms of food, and had already purchased several casual clothes for the 2 of them. Since this is a good opportunity, take advantage of it. He Tian brought some pastries to school. She would be a little hungry before lunchtime, so she would eat some for herself and invite others to eat. Today, He Tian changed into another piece of clothing. It was a puff-sleeved shirt with 3/4 sleeves made for her by Zhang Wenwen. She wore small round-toed leather shoes. She had a small crossbody bag on her body. She was carrying a large bag with pastries in it. toilet paper, thermos cups, etc. He Tian took care of the car and came in carrying her things. When we arrived at the office, Teacher Joe had already arrived and was pouring tea leaves to make tea. "Good morning, Teacher Joe," he Tian greeted, put down her things, and opened the window to make the office brighter. The breeze comes slowly, bringing in the fragrance of the morning trees. Little He Zhao Teacher Joe smiled and was very kind to He Tian. "Teacher Joe, where is the hot water room? There are still 15 minutes before class." "Let me go get some hot water first," He Tian asked. Without hot water, he would not be able to survive the day. "It's in the cafeteria of Building 6, Teacher Joe said. "There aren't many people there now. It only takes 10 minutes to go back and forth." "Okay, I'll fetch water." He Tian put the things in the cabinet and picked up 2 large thermos bottles to fetch hot water. As expected, there weren't many people there, so He Tian got some hot water and walked back quickly. Just when I came back, I met a girl who was very strange and kept staring at her. But He Tian didn't recognize her, so she carried the kettle back to the office. When He Tian came back, Teacher Lu, Teacher Xiao Chen, and Teacher De Chen also arrived. Seeing He Tian bring hot water, I like He Tian even more. He is rich and powerful. Teacher, he is not arrogant and easy to get along with. If it were anyone else with such conditions, I don't know what Sundara would be like. "Thank you, Teacher He. I'll fetch hot water tomorrow," Teacher Xiao Chen said with a smile. She came here a year earlier than He Tian, and she used to fetch hot water. When Teacher Joe comes early, he will also take care of things. Now with He Tian, someone can share the burden. "It's okay. I'm early. I'm going to play some." He Tian smiled and said, "No more, I have 2 classes in the morning, so I'm going to class first." "We also have classes and need to prepare." Teacher Lu smiled and said that he would come back to chat after class. He Tian went to the classroom with the lesson plans, lesson preparation, and roll call folders. He Tian discovered that all her classes were in large lecture halls, and her throat was getting tired again today. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 859. 857. There are still 2 classes of students who have not answered yesterday's questions. He Tian called the students to stand up and continue. All the students came to class today, even the few who did not come yesterday. After class, He Tian packed up and prepared to leave. The students who did not come yesterday walked forward together. "Teacher He, I'm sorry, I was sick yesterday and did not come to class." A very tall and handsome boy said, "Please give us a chance, Teacher He, we will all come to class in the future." He Tian was a little unhappy after hearing this, and said, "You are students, isn't it natural to come to class? If you are sick, then bring the doctor's certificate and the leave note signed by the director." "Teacher He, can't you be flexible?" Wu Mian raised his eyebrows. "This teacher is very difficult to deal with." "Impossible," He Tian said, "if you don't come, your grades won't be deducted completely. I've made it very clear. 4 roll calls are the standard. If you don't come once, 1/4 of your grades will be deducted. If you're asking me to make concessions, then don't say it. If you don't miss classes in the future, your grades won't be very low." After He Tian finished speaking, she glanced at the students, her expression serious, and left with her things. After He Tian left, everyone looked at Wu Mian. "Wu Mian, what should we do?" the classmate asked. "Will our grades be affected?" "Wu Mian, please ask your uncle, maybe he can help us change it," another classmate said. Wu Mian's uncle is Deputy Director Wu, who has a say in the department. Wu Mian looked gloomy, feeling that He Tian had given her face. Just because she looks good, she has to be unreasonable. She is just a little teacher, and her uncle is the director. She can go to her uncle for this matter, without worrying about the teacher's thoughts. But Wu Mian is not stupid, she just needs to get her grades right, and can't do the same to others. Forget it, just come to class from now on, Wu Mian said. There are still 3 roll calls, otherwise you will lose all your points. After that, Wu Mian left with a gloomy face. The students behind him pouted, aren't you awesome, now you still haven't achieved your goal. However, there are also smart ones who know that Wu Mian may want to find Deputy Director Wu privately. Ordinary students like them are not so lucky, because they don't have an uncle who is the director. After class, He Tian returned to the office and drank a lot of water to calm down the anger in her heart. She was a little hungry, so she took out some snacks and shared them with everyone. It happened that except for Teacher De Chen, Teacher Zhou, Teacher Xiao Chen, and Teacher Lu, He Tian had no classes. He Tian took out 4 cheesecakes, gave one to Teacher Zhou and said, Teacher Zhou, come, have something to eat and replenish your energy. Oh, this is a rare snack, let me try it too. Teacher Zhou took it and took a bite, it tastes good and is easy to chew. He Tian took another piece to Teacher Lu, and said to Teacher Chen, come and take it yourself. He Tian took out a small box from her bag, which contained a small plate and a small spoon, put a piece in it, and ate it with the spoon. Oh, I feel great after taking a bite. He Tian smiled, my stomach finally stopped growling. Teacher He, it's delicious. Did you buy it at Sanfan Bridge? Teacher Chen asked. I bought chocolate cake before, it tastes great, but it's very expensive. Yes, I prefer cheesecake, He Tian said, but chocolate tastes good too. Where is that place? Teacher Lu asked, where is it? It tastes so good, I'm going to buy some for my parents. It's just over the Riverside Park and Shaanxi Street. If you ask Sanfan Bridge, people will tell you how to get there, He Tian said enthusiastically, this is a potential customer. Okay, I'll buy some after get off work in the afternoon, Teacher Lu said. With something in her stomach, He Tian felt a little better. When He Tian went to the bathroom, she ran into Wu Mian. Wu Mian smiled, looked at He Tian, and then went into Deputy Director Wu's office. He Tian also sneered, haha, it turns out that there is a backer. She just didn't agree. Wu Mian went into the room and told his uncle about the deduction of his grades, and asked his uncle to help him deal with the matter. If it was any other teacher, Deputy Director Wu would just have to say something. But he didn't know what kind of temper the new He Tian had, and this policy was proposed by He Tian, and he and the director also agreed, and it would be promoted to the whole school soon. At this time, if he went to intercede, wouldn't he lose his prestige in front of He Tian? After all, Deputy Director Wu was only in his 40s and was a very ambitious person. He still wanted to climb up, so he didn't want to offend a potential powerful person because of his nephew. If He Tian was unhappy and said something in front of the dean, his position would probably stop there. How many times have I told you to attend class well, but you just won't listen, Deputy Director Wu scolded. This is only the first time, you still have 3 chances, and you can get 15 points if you come to class next time. Uncle, I want to get a scholarship, but with these few points difference, I may not get it. Wu Mian said that his family doesn't need this little money, but this is an honor. After graduation, it will look better in the file and you can get more things. Deputy Director Wu sneered, since you want a scholarship, why do you have to miss classes? You are not living up to expectations and you are embarrassing me. Uncle, Wu Mian was anxious, won't you help me? You go back and have a good class. Don't think that there is an uncle in school all day long, so you don't study hard. Director Wu said, don't go to Teacher He for this matter, it will be useless. If you get involved, if I don't get a promotion, let's see what benefits you can get. Wu Mian was dumbfounded. He is the only male in the old Wu family, and his second uncle only has 1 daughter, so his second uncle is very kind to him and is willing to train him. But I didn't expect that my second uncle would actually say such a thing. Could it be that he Tian really had a backstage that even his second uncle didn't dare to touch? Second uncle, I will study hard. Wu Mian is not a fool. Second uncle's attitude is already obvious. If he can't see it, then second uncle will ignore him in the future. Deputy Director Wu was a little relieved that his nephew was not a fool. Go back and study hard and don't be absent again. Deputy Director Wu said, there are so many outstanding students in the school, but if you don't work hard and excel, I can't help you even if I want to help you. Second uncle, I understand. I will work hard in the future, Wu Mian said solemnly. He could not be as lazy as before in the future. Even if the second uncle helps him, he still wants him to get good grades. If he doesn't get good grades, it would be too obvious for his second uncle to help him. If someone reports him, his second uncle will also be in trouble. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 860. 858. When Wu Mian came out of Deputy Director Wu's office, he happened to run into He Tian again. The scene was a little awkward. This time, Wu Mian was not as arrogant as before, and said with a smile, "Hello, teacher He." "Hello," He Tian nodded, lukewarmly, and entered the office. He did not change his original intention just because he saw their attitude. "There is something in my stomach and it stops growling." He Tian started preparing lessons and tried to prepare them within an hour. Since there was no class tomorrow, she could have a day off. Thinking of this, He Tian became even more happy. Very efficient and finished before lunch. Teacher Lu invited He Tian to have lunch. Everyone was talking and laughing. Xiao Chen is a very lively girl and talks a lot. He Tian likes this teacher very much. I have classes in the afternoon and can go home at 5 o'clock. School ended early today, so He Tian picked up the child in person and spent a wonderful afternoon with the child. When we arrived at the school gate, school was about to end, and Zhang also came, but he did not come forward, and asked He Tian to pick her up so that mother and daughter could spend more time together. When the two children saw their mother coming to pick them up, they ran to their mother like two happy beans. He Tian opened the door and let them get in the car. He Tian greeted a few familiar parents, got in the car and left. "Mom, the little fat man gave me an apple to eat today," Hua Ruiman said, "it's very delicious." "Then did you give Xiao Chuang something delicious?" He Tian asked. "It doesn't matter if the girl eats other people's food, but she can't develop the habit of eating other people's food for free." "Yes, I shared my chocolate beans with him," Hua Ruiman said, "he said it was delicious. We are good friends." He Tian listened and said with a smile, "Yes, well done." "Mom, my sister and Xiao Pang had another fight today," Hua Ruwa whispered, sitting further away from her sister. "Hua Ruwa," Hua Ruiman's eyes widened. "Didn't she agree not to complain anymore?" "The complainer. Mom asked me to watch yours. If you don't listen to me, I will tell Mom," Hua Ruwa argued. "Mom, don't you think so?" This is indeed what He Tian told her son. "My daughter is impulsive and gets into trouble, while my son is quiet and well behaved, so I tell him to watch his sister carefully." Hua Ruwa did a good job, and He Tian couldn't dampen his son's enthusiasm. "Yes, I asked my brother to tell me. Ruiman, can you tell me why you were fighting? Since we were fighting, why did you give you apples to eat, and you gave him chocolate beans to eat?" He Tian was curious and asked her daughter. Hua Ruiman was a little nervous, glared at her younger brother, and said, "It's the little fat guy who asked me to be his wife. I didn't agree and was beaten. But he didn't cry and said it didn't hurt. He gave me an apple to eat. I also gave him my own food." He Tian was stunned and looked at her daughter's little fleshy face in the rearview mirror. She was fair and cute, with two cute little balls on her head and beautiful hairpins. She was indeed very pretty. But at such a young age, someone is pursuing her. Okay, he Tian said, if we talk about it later, little fat man, just say that we are too young, and my mother said that you are not allowed to fall in love. Yeah, I'll tell them next time, Huo Ruiman said seriously, when I grow up, I can fall in love again. Ruwa did a great job. I'll give you an extra chicken drumstick tonight, he Tian smiled and said, okay, we're home. Back home, the child ate the glutinous rice balls transformed by Grandma Wang, and then began to do homework with the help of He Tian. Train your children to do homework from an early age. When the children grow up, they will develop the habit of finishing their homework before going to play. This is what He Tian requires of his children from the first day of school. It's okay to play, and it's okay if you have requests, but you must complete your homework. Originally, He Tian wanted to watch her children do their homework, but when Huo Yingzhe returned home, she gave this task to Huo Yingzhe and she cooked the food herself. Grandma Wang usually works very hard, but He Tian is reluctant to let the old man work hard. But Grandma Wang has always believed that she is in good health and can work, and now she has taken over the lunch and dinner duties. Tian, your craftsmanship is good, Grandma Wang praised. Why can't I make the same thing with that taste? It's really strange. He Tian smiled and said, everyone has their own cooking habits and different time control, so even if the ingredients are the same, the taste may be different. But Grandma Wang, your cooking is already delicious. We like them all. Even if the taste isn't as good as He Tianation's, it's still tastier than what most people make. He Tian, Huo Yingzhe and the children were all very grateful to Grandma Wang for her hard work. Grandma Wang was very happy and said that she would study it carefully in the future and make better tasting meals. It's rest tomorrow. After He Tian finished eating and went for a walk, he went to Qi Xiaoyan's house. Qi Xiaoyan has just finished eating at home and is packing her things. Sister Tian, why are you here when you are free? Qi Xiaoyan made tea, sat in the living room, and chatted with He Tian. It's okay after dinner. Let's go out for a walk, He Tian smiled and said, by the way, I will have a rest tomorrow. Do you want to go to class tomorrow? Qi Xiaoyan's eyes lit up and she said, Sister Tian, although there are no classes tomorrow, I will perform at the school's welcome party tomorrow night. Do you and your brother-in-law have time? If so, you can watch me with brother Dajan. Show. There are too few entertainment activities now. Even if there is a TV at home, He Tian is not willing to watch it. Okay, He Tian smiled, I should be free, and we will definitely go to cheer you up then. Qi Xiaoyan said, and I ordered a performance costume from Wenwen's place. By the way, I'm still short of some jewelry. Can I borrow your necklace? I can wear my bracelets and jade pendants on a daily basis. But it won't work when performing. He Tian nodded and said, okay, you can come to my house tomorrow and I will dress you up and make sure you become the most dazzling star at the party. Qi Xiaoyan's eyes were bright and she nodded repeatedly, Sister Tian, you are so kind. I will return it to you when I'm done using it. Yeah, okay, He Tian nodded. He Tian was reluctant to lend out the diamond necklace her grandmother had given her, but she also had some crystal jewelry, necklaces and other jewelry that her mother often sent her. Those things are inexpensive, but shiny enough. Then I'll pick up the costumes tomorrow morning, and I'll go to your house to find you, Qi Xiaoyan said with a smile. If Sister Tian takes action, she will surely win. With the support of her family and friends, as well as her talent and hard work, she will definitely succeed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 861. 859. After returning home, He Tian told Huo Yingzhi about Qi Xiaoyan's performance at the Huaxia Conservatory of Music at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. Do you want to go? Huo Yingzhi asked, looking at He Tian with raised eyebrows. He Tian smiled, don't I want to have a world of two with my husband? Haha. Huo Yingzhi smiled, although this reason is false, I like it very much. If I pass it, I will get off work on time tomorrow. You prepare delicious food at home. After we eat, we will go to the Conservatory of Music. Yeah, He Tian said happily, there are too few entertainment activities now, and the TV is not good to watch. It's good to go out and have fun, isn't it, brother Yingzhi? Huo Yingzhi nodded and said, it's boring. You can tell me wherever you want to go from now on, and I will accompany you. He Tian kissed Huo Yingzhi on the face and said, my husband is the best. Huo Yingzhi kissed He Tian in turn. Just like this in the dark, kiss me and me, sweetly. When I got home, I felt that the lights were a bit redundant. After putting the child to sleep and He Tian not going to work tomorrow, Huo Yingzhi would not miss such a good opportunity. A moment of pleasure. In the morning, when He Tian got up, Huo Yingzhi had already gone to work, and Zhang Ning had sent the child to school. It was already past 9 o'clock when He Tian got up and had breakfast. Qi Xiaoyan took the dress from Zhang Wenwen and came to find He Tian. This is a one-shoulder, sleeveless performance costume with a lace hem. It is snow white and very slim-fitting. There are 2 layers of gauze at the back, which is spread out on the ground for more than 1 meter. Such clothes really need sparkling accessories. He Tian took out the accessories she had prepared in the morning and placed them on the table. This is a set of blue crystal jewelry. The necklace is relatively large and complicated, which is suitable for performances. There are also matching bracelets and earrings. Sister Tian, it's so beautiful. After Qi Xiaoyan put it on, she looked in the mirror. Well, not bad. He Tian nodded, it suits you better. It looks even better when the light shines on it. By the way, you have clothes and accessories. How are you going to style your hair? He Tian asked, looking Qi Xiaoyan up and down. Qi Xiaoyan's hair is shorter than He Tian's, but when it is spread down, it is quite long. Just tie it up like this and braid it. My hair is too short. Qi Xiaoyan replied that after having a child, long hair would be too troublesome. He Tian was speechless. Apart from ponytails and braids, were there no other hairstyles? Although He Tian has seen many hairstyles, she is not a hairstylist. Until now, she only has 3 hairstyles: long hair, braided hair, and ponytail. The hair dyeing, perming, ion perm, etc. of later generations will probably have to wait 20 years to appear. He Tian thought of the braided hair for her daughter and said, sit down and I will braid your hair, just like my daughter's usual braided hair. Doesn't it look good? It's good looking, but I'm already at my age and it's still so tender. Isn't it inappropriate? Qi Xiaoyan was a little embarrassed. She wanted to look good, but she didn't want to become weird. He Tian smiled and said, don't worry, you won't be as childish as a child. Sit tight. Qi Xiaoyan was pressed in front of the dressing mirror by He Tian, and then she found a small black clip and a blue rubber band for later use. Qi Xiaoyan's face shape is a standard oval face, suitable for parting in the middle. Her forehead is a bit big, and she has some bangs. Instead of thick one-cut bangs, there are sparse air bangs. Although it is a bit difficult, you can give it a try. Anyway, it's not her head anyway. He Tian felt a little guilty for having such thoughts, but she believed in her craftsmanship more. Grandma Qi-san's hair, Grandma Wang's hair, her mother-in-law's hair, Huo Yingzhi's hair, and the 2 children's hair were all cut by He Tian with clippers. He Tian found a raincoat that she usually used for haircuts and put it on Qi Xiaoyan. This was a blouse that He Tian Tian had modified herself. Then she cut off Chi Xiao Yan's bangs, thinned them slowly, and parted them in the middle. Then she braided the hair from the top of her head and fixed the two braids with rubber bands. Then I combed the hair at the back to make it smoother. I found a small blue silk scarf at home and made it into a layered flower, about the size of an adult's fist, and then fixed it with hairpins. Gently combing her bangs, a beautiful woman appeared in the mirror. "How's it going?" He Tian Tian asked. "Is my skill pretty good? Is it much better than your hair braiding?" "It looks good, it looks really good," Chi Xiao Yan said with a smile. "By the way, I brought makeup here, and you help me put on my makeup." "I put on my own makeup, but I always feel like something is wrong." He Tian Tian thought for a moment and said, "It's a little early to put on your makeup now. I'll do your makeup after you have lunch, so as not to waste your makeup in the evening." Yet Chi Xiao Yan nodded repeatedly, impatiently. "Sister Tian Tian, I want to put on my performance clothes and try it out." "Okay," He Tian Tian smiled, "I want to see it too." He Tian Tian helped Chi Xiao Yan put on her performance clothes. Chi Xiao Yan looked at the woman in the mirror blankly. Is she really that good looking? Haha, look at it clearly. After dinner, I will put on makeup for you. That will make you look good, He Tian Tian said with a smile, because her mother usually sends her cosmetics, so she just thinks about it by herself when she has nothing to do. She really just thinks about it? Come out with some doorways. Okay, I'm looking forward to it even more, Chi Xiao Yan said excitedly. Grandma Wang went into the house to get something and saw Chi Xiao Yan dressed up. "Oh, this is Xiao Yan," Grandma Wang praised. "I almost didn't recognize it. It's so beautiful. What are you doing with this whole outfit?" "Our school has a party, and I have a show," Chi Xiao Yan said. "Sister Tian Tian dressed me up, it looks really good." "Haha, Tian Tian is used to doing these things," Grandma Wang said with a smile. "I wish you a successful performance. I won't disturb you anymore. I'm going out." Grandma Wang left with a smile. "She is an interesting old lady," Chi Xiao Yan smiled, "reminds me of Grandma Chi San. I haven't seen her for a long time. I really miss her." "I think so too," He Tian Tian smiled bitterly. "It's just that without a 10-day holiday, I can't go back at all." "Yes," Chi Xiao Yan said, "we can only wait for the winter vacation, summer vacation." Chi Xiao Yan did not go back at noon, but picked up the child at He Tian Tian and had lunch here. While the child was taking a nap, He Tian Tian put makeup on Chi Xiao Yan. "Fortunately, it's autumn now, so as long as you pay attention, you shouldn't sweat." He Tian Tian carefully applied makeup to Chi Xiao Yan, and the person in the mirror became more refined. At around 3 o'clock, Niu Daijin, wearing a suit and black leather shoes, came to pick up Chi Xiao Yan. He was dumbfounded. "Thank you all for the rewards." The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 862. 860. Niu Daijin knew that his wife Chi Xiao Yan was good looking, but he didn't expect her to be so good looking. "Silly," Chi Xiao Yan said with a smile. In order to match his wife's look, he also bought clothes from Zhang Wenwen and packed them up. Although Niu Daijin has been doing business, he gets up early in the morning to run and exercise, so he is now in good shape. Standing together with Chi Xiao Yan, they are a perfect match. "Xiao Yan is so beautiful," Niu Daijin smiled. "Are you ready?" "Yes," Chi Xiao Yan nodded. "Sister Tian Tian has prepared it for me. I like it very much." "Then let's go," Niu Daijin smiled. "It's past 3 o'clock now. You have to rehearse after 10 o'clock, so you can't be late." "Yes, Sister Tian Tian, Grandma Wang, let's go. You and your brother-in-law just need to take the invitations," Chi Xiao Yan said. "If you don't know the way, you can just ask people where the auditorium is." "Okay, I understand, you go ahead and do your work first. He Tian smiled and said, she wanted to prepare food and clothes. When Huo Yingji comes back, they will have something to eat and then go there. Chi Xiao Yan, after Niu Dajin left. He Tian found out what to wear at night. It was already autumn, and the nights in Yanjing were a bit cold. He Tian didn't know how to wear a skirt, so she decided to wear trousers and a shirt with a windbreaker and high heels. The wind was a bit strong today, so He Tian tied up her hair directly to prevent it from getting messy when the wind blows later. Prepare these, He Tian always feels like something is missing. My eyes fell on the flower bed, oh my, those clusters of bright lilies were blooming. There were various colors. When He Tian decided to leave, she picked a handful, then found a nice wrapping paper to pick them up, and gave them to Chi Xiao Yan after Chi Xiao Yan's performance. When He Tian was ready at home, Huo Yingji also went home. The children were clamoring to go, but it was not a place suitable for children. So He Tian promised several conditions before being let go by the two children. He Tian held a bouquet of flowers and got into Huo Yingji's car. Huo Yingji drove, and Zhongning and Xiewu drove behind. When he arrived at the school, He Tian showed the invitation letter and drove in directly. As for Zhongning and Xiewu, they did not have an invitation letter and the car could not be driven in. The two parked the car outside, pretended to be students and entered the school, sneaking in. Chi Xiao Yan was rehearsing and had no time to come over to entertain He Tian and Huo Yingji. Fortunately, Niu Dajin was at the side and brought He Tian and Huo Yingji to their seats. It starts in 10 minutes. Niu Dajin smiled, I'm really looking forward to it. At the same time, Niu Dajin's eyes fell on the bouquet in He Tian's hand and asked, Tian, what did you bring the flowers to? Of course it's for Xiao Yan. He Tian smiled, there is usually a gap between singing, and then I will give the flowers to Xiao Yan. Hearing this, Niu Dajin's eyes lit up and he said, Tian, where did you buy it? Is it still too late to buy it now? Seeing Niu Dajin's eyes full of hope, He Tian was a little shaken. She could only make some sacrifices for the good relationship between her good sisters and husband, and said, okay, I will give this bouquet of flowers to you, and you will give it to Xiao Yan later. Niu Dajin was taken aback for a moment, then took it over unceremoniously and said, haha, I won't be polite to you anymore. Hey, you don't know, since Xiao Yan came to school, there are so many crazy bees and butterflies in their class, I don't know if you act proactively, those people will probably try to pry me into a corner. Haha. He Tian smiled coquettishly, as long as you two have a good relationship, no one else can pry it off. Xiao Yan likes to be romantic like this, so you often give her some gifts, or give her somewhat a surprise. When you have time, you two also go out to eat and spend time together. Ah, Niu Dajin was stunned, looking back and forth at He Tian and Huo Yingji, do you often go out to the world of two? He Tian blushed a little. He was clearly trying to help Niu Dajin with his advice, but he actually teased them. Huo Yingji smiled and said, yes, if you don't accompany Xiao Yan, there will be many people willing to accompany her. After all, Xiao Yan is so beautiful. Hearing this, Niu Dajin was a little nervous. Hey, yes, Niu Dajin said with a wry smile, the relationship between husband and wife needs to be managed, so I have to be more attentive. Fortunately, the business is on track now and is not as busy as before. At the beginning, it was really busy. Secretly, I really don't have time. He Tian felt a little guilty. She left all the store opening matters to Niu Dajin and stayed away. That's good, now our career is on track, and you have time to run a family. He Tian smiled, it just so happens that my job is stable now. If I have time, I will also help visit the shop. Niu Dajin nodded, feeling very happy. The profits of the two shops are very considerable, and a lot of money will be shared by the end of the year. At that time, Niu Daijin decided to buy a house and yard in Yanjing. Because the yard he Tian bought before was only 2 years old and has tripled in value. This is more cost-effective than putting money in the bank. Niu Daijin has a very simple and honest temper, but after several years of business, he has become more astute. At the same time, he also values he Tianation's vision. After a while, the performance started. These are all programs prepared by more than a dozen departments in the school, and each one is carefully selected. Chi Xiao Yan sang love is deep and friendship is long. After some changes, it became more affectionate and euphemistic. He Tian listened to it at home and thought it sounded very good. Chi Xiao Yan appeared on the 8th stage. When the lights came on, a beautiful woman stood on the stage gracefully. Niu Daijin was already standing in the audience, looking at this woman with fascination. If he had not married Chi Xiao Yan, he might have found a well-matched girl to get married on a blind date, then have a few children, and work honestly at the post and telecommunications office for the rest of his life. The children would grow up, and he would grow old slowly, and his life would be ordinary. However, fate brought them together, he loved her, and his life changed drastically. It is precisely because of his wife's push that he has the family and career he has today. His wife is so beautiful, so kind, and so excellent, and he must work harder. Colorful clouds. Chi Xiao Yan had already started singing on the stage. Her eyes glanced at her husband, Sister Tian, where she did not see Chi Daijin. Chi Xiao Yan felt a little disappointed. I promised to listen to her singing. She loved singing, but she loved singing to him even more. There was a pause in the middle of the section, and Niu Daijin took advantage of this little time to come on stage from the side. The people below looked at the tall man who walked onto the stage with their mouths open. Chi Xiao Yan was also stunned when she saw Niu Daijin. You sang so well, I give it to you. Niu Daijin gave Chi Xiao Yan a bouquet of flowers, then walked off the stage with a smile. Chi Xiao Yan held the bouquet of flowers with a smile on her face. He didn't leave, but listened to her singing.